The 21st of June 2011, we are at the New York State Military Museum in Saratoga Springs, New York. My name is Wayne Clark. Sir, for the record, would you please state your full name and date and place of birth, please?
Clifford Bristol. I was born in Troy, New York, November 13th, 1945.
Did you attend school in Troy?
I graduated from Troy High, but I grew up in Cohoes mostly. Attended school through 7th grade. Then I moved to Troy and finished up in the Troy school system.
All right. And what year did you graduate?
I graduated in 1963.
And did you go to work at that point, or did you go on to advanced schooling?
No, I took a job right out of high school. I was young. I was only 17 when I graduated because when I went through grade school, there was no kindergarten where I went to school, so I started right in first grade. So I gained a year on most of the kids. And when I graduated high school, a lot of the better places to work, like GE and things like that, they wanted your military obligation fulfilled or out of the way. So basically that's why I went into service, not so much to be in service, but to get the military obligation out of the way.
Now, did you enlist?
Yes, I did.
And you picked the Air Force.
Yeah.
And why did you pick the Air Force?
Well, I graduated, I didn't have many friends going through high school, but a couple close friends, and both of them went in service right out of high school. And they would come home on leave, and they seemed to like it, so why not?
So when did you enlist?
December of '63.
And where did you ship out of?
I enlisted in Albany, New York.
All right.
And from there I went right to basic training.
And where was your basic training?
It was down in Lackland Air Force Base, Texas.
And what was the date of that?
Well, I don't remember exactly. It was about 9 weeks of basic training.
Okay, you went in, okay, December of '63. So, did you miss Christmas? I mean, did you go?
No, actually,
Or did you go in after Christmas?
after Christmas, I think. December 27th, I believe it
All right.
was. Yeah.
Now, was that your first time away from home?
Yeah.
What was basic training like?
Actually, of course, being young, you're in a lot better shape then. Actually, I gained weight going through basic training. I never ate saw so much food in my life going through basic training. But no, it was a good experience. I didn't have any problems. And a lot of people are better leaders than followers. Me, I was a good follower, so I didn't have any trouble. Somebody tells me what to do, just do it, that's all. I didn't have any problem.
Now, once you graduated from basic training, did you go on to an advanced school?
Yeah, a tech school in Illinois, about 150, Rantoul, Illinois, about 150 miles from Chicago, Chanute Air Force Base.
All right. What type of training did you receive there?
It was for ground service on aircraft, maintenance, general servicing and everything. Part of a ground crew.
Any mechanics or?
Oh yeah. Some light. I mean, basically it was more or less servicing and inspection. If you found a problem, you would call the appropriate shop, electric, hydraulic, whatever. It was mostly troubleshooting, observation, servicing.
Was there a specific aircraft you trained on? Or were they just general?
Yeah, I trained on the B-52. But my first permanent station was up in Plattsburgh, New York, and they had B-47s. So you went through a modified
training.
Yeah, it was well, he went on a whole nother course for that aircraft too, but it wasn't quite as long as Chinook.
Now, how long was that course at Chinook?
Oh, gee. I don't remember exactly. About 12 weeks, I think.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you graduated from that course, did you receive any sort of promotion or stripe?
Yeah, it was almost automatic. I got it before graduation from school. It was more of a time thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got the first promotion while I was at Chinook. Went from E1 to E2. At that time, it was Airman Basic to Airman Third Class. They've since changed it, but went from E1 to E2.
Once you completed that course, you went to Plattsburgh at that point?
Yeah, they gave you a preference of 3 bases that you would like to go to if possible. And, I was like I say, you were still young then. I kind of wanted to get close to home, so I picked Plattsburgh just for that reason. I got the first choice as it happened. So.
Did you put Griffiths on the list
Griffiths
at all?
was one, I think, and Pease in New Hampshire was one. I tried to stay close to home.
Mm-hmm. Now, how long were you at Plattsburgh for?
Just about a year and a half by the time I got there.
Mm-hmm.
I stayed there till I had just 2 years in, and then I went overseas.
Now, what was it like at Plattsburgh? The winters must have bent pretty brutal, weren't they?
Yeah, that was the coldest I've ever been out on that flight line. And, yeah, it was cold. But I mean, I didn't go in so much for hunting, but I liked to ice fish, and Lake Champlain was close by, and it was good. Plattsburgh was good.
Did you have much time off?
Actually, quite a bit, yeah. I mean, you were on call, on, standby, but unless they called you in, you were pretty much on your own.
Now, you worked in the tire shop and changed a lot of tires.
Right.
And I've heard a lot of horror stories about tires exploding.
Well, you put them in an actual cage when you first serviced them, and made sure I've seen a couple blow.
Really?
If you were standing next to it at the time, you'd be all done. Yeah, you serviced them in a cage.
Mm-hmm. Anyone ever injured in your group?
Not while I was there.
Mm-hmm.
They're heavy too. I mean, it's not like tossing around a 14-inch auto tire. They're big. They're as tall as a human, depending on what aircraft.
Sure.
But they're a lot of bulwark. It was heavy and it was dirty, but it was fun.
Now, I don't know if you know or not, but I've heard that aircraft tires are extremely expensive. Any idea what they cost at the time?
Oh boy, no, but years ago you'd hear about retreads and all that. Well, you could retread those up to 4 times, so you got quite a bit of use out of the casing itself. The outside would, you'd get, like, not over in Vietnam where they'd land on the PSP runways, the makeshift runways, but on the dry regular runway, you'd get, a couple hundred landings out of them. But over in Vietnam, they just get torn to shreds on those makeshift air strips and stuff.
Okay.
But they were pretty durable. You get a lot of use out of them. Yeah.
Now, after your tour in Plattsburgh, where were you sent next?
I was permanently assigned to the Philippines, and after, again, a short, it was...
Now, whereabouts in the Philippines?
Not the main base in Clark, which was in the northern end. I was on a 3x5 island down in the southern end, in Mactan Island. And when I first got there, there was just tents, and it was really crude. I mean, we were the first GIs down there since World War II. It was pretty makeshift, eating out of mess kits and the whole 9 yards. It was like Boy Scout camp. It was fun. It was good.
Did you have any problems with tropical diseases there, or snakes, or land crabs, or anything like that?
No, well, it was kind of buggy,
Mm-hmm.
but no, not really. They kept it. No, it was under control. And I never had any problems.
Mm-hmm. Did you see any leftover evidence from World War II?
Yeah, there were some pillboxes and stuff left.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was only about 35 feet above sea level. There wasn't much, where they could overlook anything, but yeah, there was a few evidences.
Were there natives on the island too, or just Americans?
Oh no, there was a lot of locals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that worked in the mess halls and like that, and groundskeeping and stuff like that. No, well, the enlisted people had like maybe 6 to 8 airmen to a hut, and each hut was designated a local to take care of the clothing and laundry and stuff like that for the men, because they didn't have any services on base or anything. They more or less took them home and had their wives do them or whatever. There was no services on base for laundry or anything.
How'd you get along with the civilians?
Good, yeah, good. Oh, they were tickled to death to see us. I mean, that was their economy. That was and everything was, compared to us, so dirt cheap over there. I mean, it was ridiculous. So, no, there was a good rapport with the locals.
Now, did you go to Vietnam on a TDY type status?
Right. I did 2 TDY tours, one for 60 days and one for 100 days.
And whereabouts in Vietnam did you go?
Basically just the main Tan Son Nhut, which is Saigon now, but basically just Tan Son Nhut.
What was it like there? Was it quite similar to being in the Philippines?
Well, yeah, weather-wise and everything, it was a lot alike. But of course, you're at war. You're at war. You weren't as trusting with the people, and I wasn't as adventurous as a lot of the guys over there. I only went downtown Saigon once while I was there. I was kind of skittish. The Filipinos were great, but the Vietnamese, man, I just didn't warm up to them at all because, like I say, you're at war with them, and they look kind of like Siamese cats. They're just something about them. You don't want. I didn't want to associate with them. I didn't fool around with them much over there.
Were you ever under rocket or mortar attack?
Yeah, a few times. In fact, on the last hitch, just before I came home, about 2 days before I came home, they didn't do so much as trying to get to the people or the airmen, but as much as they did the aircraft and the runways and stuff like that. But they did a lot of damage just before I left. I was glad to get out of there.
What were your living conditions like there?
Well, again, that was quite a few years ago. Everything was open bay. I mean, there were no individual rooms.
But you weren't in tents or anything?
No, they had permanent structures. It was good. You had plenty of water, and the conditions were good. And again, you had locals doing your laundry and stuff like that.
Did you do the same type of work?
Yeah, I was assigned to the tire shop in Vietnam also.
Now, both times that you were there, were you working in the same shop or the same general area?
Yeah, I requested it, yeah. And
Were
they
any
were
of
glad to get the help because It was pretty much on a volunteer thing. They asked for volunteers first, and if nobody volunteered, they'd pick.
Mm-hmm.
But after being in the tire shop at Plattsburgh, anyway, I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say, it was dirty, but it was good. It was a 9 to 5 job, dude. Pretty much,
Mm-hmm.
Unless there was a run on, if they needed more tires or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but normally it was just a 9 to 5.
Were you involved with like jacking the aircraft up too and to change the tires?
Yeah, you didn't have to lift the whole aircraft, just whatever tire you were going to replace. They had their different mounts and jacking points and stuff. Yeah, and well, some of it was manual and hydraulic, but back at Plattsburgh they had the electric and everything, but out on the flight line you just had to use the hydraulic jacks. But it went pretty smooth. Their equipment was in the Philippines, their equipment wasn't that good, but all the other places I went, they had good equipment.
Now, in Vietnam, did you get extra money for that combat pay, what they call combat or overseas? Or?
Right. I wasn't on flying status, but because I didn't fly with the aircraft, but I did get the extra combat pay and stuff. Because I didn't smoke anyway, but cigarettes and liquor, you had ration cards, but you had plenty. I mean, but I didn't smoke anyway. So. But no, things were except there was ample stuff. I mean, everything was plentiful over there. You didn't have any problem.
What about the food there?
It was good.
Good food?
Yeah, good. Even at Mactan Island, like I say, when I first got there, it was like being a Boy Scout camp. You'd have the mess kit, and you'd have to dunk in the hot water and the whole 9 yards. But it was cool. It was good. The only thing I didn't like was the drink. I didn't like coffee much at the time, or tea, and the milk over there, it was called recombined, and boy, it was awful. So I mostly drank water, and I had my wife send me over some, I don't know if you remember at the time, the little fizzies.
Oh yeah.
Anything, because you had to drink over there. It was so hot. But the drink was the only problem, because I used to like milk, but you couldn't drink it. Just the way it was processed. I mean, I'm sure it was good for you and everything, but it was an awful taste.
So you were married when you were over there?
Yeah, in fact we moved the date ahead. We were planning to get married, and then I got orders to go overseas, so we moved everything up a little bit.
Now, did you meet your wife in the service, or before you went in?
I met her before I went in.
I see.
I didn't start dating or anything like that until I was in.
She
She went to the same high school. She graduated a couple of years after I did.
Okay. And were any of the people, you went back twice, were any of the people there on your second tour that you knew from the first tour over there?
Yeah. My boss in the tire shop, he was there both times. And a couple of the other guys that were assigned to the tire shop, they were there the second time also, which made it good.
Was there much extending over there? People that did their 1 year tour, and because maybe they liked the extra pay or being over there.
There was
signed up for
a lot of quite a bit. A lot of course, I just got married when I went over, but a lot of not a lot, but several of the younger guys met Filipinos over there and married them and brought them back. Yeah, it was quite a bit.
Did you ever get to see any USO shows, anything like that?
No, not really. No. I don't remember any being available, come any available. Hubert Humphrey came and
Yeah.
toured the base, but that was about the only thing that that was the biggest, not celebrity, but dignitary. No.
And did you get an R&R at all?
No. That was, no. No. They did send us up to Clark Air Force Base once in between to qualify for small arms, marksmanship and stuff. And they gave us 2 days up there to unwind, but other than that, no, we waited till we got back.
Now you mentioned in your paperwork that you were near one of the mortuaries on base in Consonant.
Yeah, like I say, you were young, you were 18, and I really wasn't into the military end of it. I didn't realize the importance and everything until I got to Vietnam, and on the way to work every day, I would have to walk past the mortuary, and you'd see the stack of boxes that they used to send the kids home in. And one day you'd go by and they'd be stacked up to the rafters, and the next day you went by and there'd be half that many. So that's the biggest impression I had while I was over there. Then you took it more serious after that.
Did you ever see them being loaded on the aircraft at all?
Yeah, I came home on a Red Cross flight with a lot of the wounded.
Now,
knock on wood, nobody close to me or that I was associated with got hammered, but.
Now you just mentioned going home on a Red Cross flight. Was that for something special, or just
I think it's
the way it worked out? But
it's been so long ago, I don't remember. I think it's just the way it worked out. Whatever was available, they sent you.
Okay. And when did you come back home?
Let's see, it was December of '66. Yeah, right. In fact, I made it home for Christmas that year too, didn't I?
Just before.
Yeah, just before Christmas. So actually, it was a little less than a year that I was over overseas.
Once you got back home, you had to leave in a reunion.
Right.
You weren't discharged at that point. You went on.
I went to Dover, Delaware.
To Dover, Delaware. And is that where you went and completed your service obligation?
Right, I got discharged from Dover.
How long were you at Dover for?
About 11 months.
And what was Dover like?
Well, it was a different command too. Like Plattsburgh was Strategic Air Command, and Dover was military airlift or military airlift command, which was mostly for transporting the troops and stuff. So their itinerary was a little different. Dover was good. The base itself was good. I mean, right close to the ocean, there was plenty to do.
Did your wife accompany you?
Yeah, she did. Yeah. We lived in the trailer off base.
And did you do the same type of work at Dover?
No, actually, in the Air Force, you were assigned a number 43151, which was your job description or job code, and the flight line workers had the same AFSC as this aero repair. It's hard to explain, but you could be in 2 different places of employ, and this was OMS, organizational maintenance, was actually out on the flight line itself, where I was in the shop, in the specialty shop, in the tire shop. But they both had the same AFSC, so you could have gone to either place. And I was on the flight line at Dover, working right on the the whole aircraft, not just the tire shop.
Mm-hmm. Well, I meant to ask you, when you were in Vietnam, were you issued a weapon?
No. No.
So you never had to pull guard duty or perimeter guard? Or?
No. No.
All right.
No, in fact, I don't even know why I don't know why they bother having you qualify for marksmanship or anything. It's just probably as an emergency or whatever. Once a year you had to qualify for marksman.
So you completed your tour of duty at Dover, and you were discharged from there?
Right. Yeah.
And your date of discharge was December '67.
Right.
What was it like back then? Was there any anti-war movement at all? Any protesting around any of the bases?
Yeah, there was quite a bit of protesting because they were hot and heavy. It was going on hot and heavy. And, when I went in, it was heating up, but when I got out, it was going full bore. In fact, they waived a really nice re-enlistment bonus at you to try and get you to re-enlist, but a lot of them didn't.
Did you consider re-enlisting at all?
Yeah, I considered it simply because of the bonus, but I don't know, it was a little different. Like I say, I'm a good follower, but I wasn't really much of a leader. So after 4 years, you get up in rank a little bit, and your responsibilities increase. And I don't know, I didn't like the responsibility. They said, "This is your airplane, take care of it." Well, it sounds good, but that was a lot of responsibility, a lot of money. And by that time, like I say, you got a few extra stripes by then, and you got a few guys under you. I don't know, I just didn't like the responsibility.
What rank were you when you were discharged?
Well, again, it's changed now. It used to be Airman First Class, but they called it Sergeant now. The E-4 on the pay scale.
All right.
Early on, up in Plattsburgh, I was only 150 miles from home, and payday weekend, you're home just about every weekend. And I was a little lax in my training, and I didn't make rank quite as fast as some of the other guys. But hey, the military is good if you like it, but it just wasn't for me. I like my 9-to-5 job where I come home at the end of the day, and that was good.
Now, when you were discharged from the service, did you go on to school or did you go back to work? What did you do?
No, when I got discharged, of course, jobs are a lot easier to find back then. I got a job close to home over in Waterville, New York, and I worked there. It was a really good job. I had older brother that worked there. And
whereabouts in Waterville?
Well, it was a sandpaper plant.
At Bear
Manning, which is now Norton Company, which is no longer there now. But I went there right out of service, and I worked there 2.5 years. And they were starting to lay off. And the economy started to go a little bit south, and they laid off. And I went to work for Frankfurt Baking Company. And I worked there about 6 months, and Bear Manning called me and asked me if I wanted to come back. So I called my brother. I said, "What's it look like over there?" He said, "What's it look like where you are?" And I said, "I'm getting so much overtime, I'm getting sick of it." He said, "You better stay there." So I did, and I retired from Frankfurt.
How many years with Fraunhofer?
32 when I retired. I've been retired almost 10 years.
And what did you do at Fraunhofer?
Well, it was on the inside. It was in the bakery itself, and several jobs. I mean, again, as you get time in, the jobs were on a bid system. If a job was up, you bid on it, and the senior person got it. So as time went on, you got a better and better job. So I've had who knows, 7 or 8 jobs during the course of the, employ.
Did you get to eat a lot of cookies and baked goods?
I stayed away from most of it, but there were a few. The eclairs were my weak spot. Yeah. But I ate a lot of fruit too because they made the pies and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And you weren't supposed to, but I was into shipping and receiving for a lot of the time, and had access to it. So, but no, in fact, I'm the youngest of 8 kids, and all but one of us has worked for fire at one time or another.
Oh.
The only one that didn't was my oldest brother that worked for Airman, and he worked there all his life. That's the only job he ever had. Mm-hmm. And 3 of us retired from fire, so the fire family was good to us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you ever stay in contact with anyone you were in service with?
Yeah, I went out and saw a friend of mine last year out in Minnesota, or Wisconsin rather. We went to Minnesota and worked our way back, and we saw him. That was fun. That was good. Yeah. In fact, he was up in Plattsburgh with me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you use the GI Bill at all to buy a home or
No.
anything?
No.
Did you join any veterans organizations?
Well, the Veterans of Lansingburg down by us.
Mm-hmm.
That's a nice club. Yeah. But I didn't go into the Guard at all.
Mm-hmm.
I just got the civilian job and stuck with it.
How do you think your time in the service changed or affected your life?
Well, like I say, you're a young kid going in, but it opened your eyes to a lot of stuff. Yeah. Made you take a lot of stuff more serious because, well, I tell you, I mean, I don't know how these countries over in Africa and stuff like that are, but even the Philippines, the way that people live over there, I mean, you talk about poverty, man, oh man. I mean, they live in shacks.
Mm-hmm.
In Vietnam too, from what little I saw, because I didn't go off base much. But to see the way other people live, boy, yeah, it opens your eyes.
Mm-hmm. All right. Is there anything else you want to touch on that maybe we missed?
Well, we've got 4 children, 2 boys and 2 girls. The oldest boy did a hitch in the Army. Hey, the military is great. If you're keyed to it, the military is a great life. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it hurts anybody to do a stint in the military, but if you want to make it a career, it's a good career. But if you don't, it's like high school. Some of your fondest memories are in high school, and some of your saddest memories are in high school. It's the same with the military. Mm-hmm. Had a lot of laughs, but boy, I had a few things I'd rather not go through again. Mm-hmm. But all in all, I got no complaints. That was good.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your interview.
Yeah, it was fun. I'm glad we could do it.
And you have a photograph of you in uniform. If you'll just hold that up right in front of you, just back up with it a little bit and I can focus in on it easier. All right, perfect.
Yeah.
Now, when and where was that taken?
This was taken at Clark Air Force Base just before I came home from Vietnam. We stopped at Clark, and we picked up a lot of wounded at Clark at their hospital there. And this was in December of '66.
All right. Thank you again.
You're welcome.